former president of Women in Film, and she is chair of the UCLA Film Department in Los Angeles. I am so thrilled and honored to have with us today Barbara Boyle.
Thank you. I know this is a very busy time for many of you up here with your own films and panels and wanting to meet with other filmmakers. So we're very, very happy that you come out in such numbers that we will now have to pay a penalty to the fire marshal. We also think it's an enormous tribute to the panelists here. I went to law school in 1957. In my class were 4 women and 155 men. For those of you who may not know it, law school is 3 years. In the entire 3 years, there were never more than 7 women in my class. And of course, when I graduated in 1960, older than many of you will even imagine, I was very, very interested and became involved in the film business and have had a great career in the film business. But my love was women in film. Women in film is going into its 36th year, and I was there at the beginning.
All so much. As a woman behind the scenes, I'm thrilled after 20 years in this business to be here with such an illustrious group. My business is to help you, the filmmaker, get more from soft money, and that's what Tax Credits LLC will tell you a little bit about, and what we do at the Incentives Office is we find you soft money.
Thank you. If anyone makes a comment about the bright lights off the bald head, I'll smack you. We got involved in film tax credits about 4 years ago, and most of our time has been spending cleaning up the legislation so that you can get more money when you film. We've done over 1,000 transactions, almost 400 million. We work with the studios. Our biggest trade has been 25 mil, our smallest is 8,000. So we work very closely with all of you. So if you ever want additional information or help of where to film, we have one film commissioner here, I believe, Betsy Steinberg from Illinois. By the way, she's got the only state in the country that isn't under pressure now to pass new legislation. And she got it in right before her governor problems. The winner of the 2009 Women in Film Tax Credits LLC and Incentives Office $5,000 grant to Counter-Transference, directed by Madeline Olnick.
But I'm very involved in 2 films here. One that premieres tonight is called Crude, and it sort of embodies really the social change and what really needs to come about. It's loosely about 30,000 indigenous people's fight against Chevron, the oil company. Really the devastation that has happened to these people through short-term greed, self-gratification, an oil company that just cares less, just wants to take the oil and run. And so 35 years later, we see these people who are bereft of their rights as indigenous citizens, that they're sick, a lot of them have cancer, have leukemia, have no resources at all because the oil company has taken everything.
Women producers, killer films, our financiers were women, ideal partners, they also have another here. Certainly myself, the production designer, the line producer, we had so many women, and this is what's really changed. So it's a comedy with Uma Thurman and Minnie Driver, and Anthony Edwards plays Uma's husband, and it was just a fabulous experience. Small budget, it really was, even with those stars, and we were, I hope that somebody's going to still be around on Wednesday and Thursday to see it.
We're here with a film called The Greatest. It's with Pierce Brosnan and Susan Sarandon, really fabulous new actress, Carey Mulligan. I thought this is what we need with our filmmakers, is a fearlessness about going anywhere emotionally. And our film is tough. It's about a family that loses their son in a car crash, and their kind of dysfunctional anyway and how they deal with things. And about a young girl, Carrie Mulligan, who this was the love of her life and the boy's first love. And she comes to the door and she's pregnant. And she has nowhere to go. Her mom's kind of a screw up. And she comes into this family with this pregnancy, and it's how it turns the family upside down, and it's very honest.
He has great light and extraordinary grace as a filmmaker, which I'm particularly touched to see in this film.
7 years of murder, 7 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit, and basically grew up there. He was there, from when he was 15 years old on, he was in prison, and was exonerated after our father died. So our father never got to see that his client was eventually freed and cleared of all charges. We also have our
We've been through a very dark period when our nation is threatened, when we've gone through periods of war and turmoil, as this so-called war on terror and this Iraq war. Civil liberties are restricted, and there's a great deal of censorship and self-censorship that takes place.
I think that the biggest challenge to the new administration is going to be what to do about Iraq, and we can't really know what to do, answer the questions until we know what the people are like, not just images that are easy to get. And people tell me, don't talk about honor killing. Stay away from honor killing. Why? Because they said that will be a bad image of women. And I thought, no, we want to go right to the heart of honor killing. And let's look at it and what it is.
We all recognize we're all human beings with beating hearts in our breasts, and we're all family people, and to really, really make that count. And so that, we just really need to be much more aware.
The Middle East debate has been stifled, and my film deals with that. It deals with this question of sort of self-censorship, what we don't talk about. And I think unless we really get into these issues and stop sort of, being afraid to really attack this issue.
Neither of us became our father, but I did become an attorney.
Well, lady.
He used to tell us this story. We thought he was paranoid. He said that the FBI stole my phone book. And knowing my father, he lost everything. He lost his keys. We all do, it runs in the family. So I was like, Dad, you lost your phone book on an airplane. The FBI didn't take your phone book. He's like, no, the FBI took my phone book. And we're like, okay, the FBI took your phone book. So years after he died, we do a FOIA request and get his FBI file. The FBI indeed took his phone book. It was photocopied and sent out to every single field office where there was a person listed in his phone book where they lived. And then they were contacted.
Certainly the film I came with, Motherhood, is a comedy. Does it have edge? A little bit. It's an unusual film to be premiering here, but I'm delighted because it does have a great audience. It's very personal.
Please write to your sister on that piece of paper. I wrote, work with your sister and pay her nothing. I think that was just meant for my eyes. Emily wrote, edit the movie yourself.
I've found that writer-directors are just the best. Not only the best, but just the best for us because they don't have a breakdown in communication. The writer can be addressing things all the time.
Michael Ratner, the president of the Center for Constitutional Rights, is in our film, and he came to our first 2 screenings. And one of the things he wanted to do when he was here was apologize to Yousef Salaam. When my father took Yousef's case, he went to the center with it and wanted the center to bring their resources and their name behind it. And as a founder of the organization, he thought that they would get on board with him, and they refused. And they refused to support Yousef because they couldn't see past the horror of the crime he was accused of, and they didn't want to taint the organization name.
It's been a delight, a joy. I want to thank you all for coming. Please join us again next year.